cold plunge at the gates of dawn. Months ago, I joined a cold plunge place out here in Arizona. They also have infrared sauna and red light therapy, and I went every single day. The first time I did a cold plunge there, it freaked me out, and I've done it before. Upstate New York in the winter of 2021, I Wim Hoffed in a river that would have been iced over if not for the motion. And I was rather heroic about it, I might add, doing my best Wim Hof impersonation. But out here in Arizona, my first cold plunge, I darted out of the water after 2 minutes. For shame. The first time you do it, it can induce a bit of a panic. You have to override the part of your brain protecting you from the elements. It can be so difficult, at least at first, as to reach psychedelic proportions, and it can be groundbreaking on that level. It's a trip. It sends you into strange dimensions. And then I broke on through to the other side. They became rather easy for me, the cold plunges, even doing 20 minutes on a few occasions. But I pulled a permanent switch in my mind to the point where doing 10 minutes was a cakewalk. Then we moved and my month-long membership expired. I stopped doing yoga, I stopped running regular, I stopped the cold plunge, and I drifted into a guy who works out occasionally, suddenly acquiring a bit of a dad bod. Oh no! A bit of a backstory on me and my relationship with having a dad bod, so to speak. It had been a while. Years ago, I came through some rather heavy personal trauma, and my reaction to that was to work out, and work out a lot. I boxed a lot. I ran a lot. I yogaed a lot. I would say I worked out 5 to 6 hours a day, all said, maybe more, and I did that for years, and I got ripped. I switched over from playing guitar to playing washboard, and the washboard was my stomach. I spent most of my days, most of my life being in decent shape, actually. Sometimes rock and roll thin, other times skinny fat, a few fat Elvis periods of depression and indulgence, or you could say fat Elvis light. Mostly pretty thin. Fighting a permanent dad bod is how I would classify myself before I became a fitness lunatic. So when I got into super shape, it felt great. It felt as if the trauma had wrapped me into having some kind of superpower, and I carried on with it here in Arizona, but came to the realization that other areas in my life required some of my workout time to develop. I figured rightly that I should take that drive for exercise and refocus it. I actually love the discipline of heavy workout schedules, daily yoga and runs, cold plunges and gym. My addictive nature gloms onto these phases rather easily, and I guess I'm insecure enough to where getting ripped cures it to some degree. But a few months ago, I decided to consciously put some of that time and energy into developing other aspects of my life, video making and other creative endeavors. We only have so much time in a day, and consciously directing that time is obviously very important to facilitating our goals. My goal isn't to become a professional athlete, or it kind of is, but I'm trying to be realistic. So I had to adjust. And as it turns out, I over-course corrected. And as a result, the skinny fat came back. Apparently, I wasn't as insecure anymore, and I really didn't care so much. I didn't love it, but I didn't mind either, because I was indeed investing that time in worthy creative pursuits. Until a few weeks ago, when I caught a podcast on how cold plunges actually helped a guy with prostate health and sent his testosterone levels through the roof. So I decided to rejoin a cold plunge place on the spot, because not only was I getting a dad bod, I was also struggling with energy, low-grade depression, and feeling a bit old, and not in a good way. So you could call this a physical update video and sharing a routine that has accidentally become incredibly effective without too much time being taxed. It seems to strike a great balance with a much more robust workout schedule than I was recently engaged in, while still focusing on other creative endeavors and something holistic that is positively affecting all areas. So I want to share it. Firstly, the cold plunge, because that's where the shift started. I go every day, first thing in the morning. I write and then head to the freezing water around 7 a.m. I also do infrared sauna and red light therapy. I hadn't planned on a heavier workout schedule at all, but that's come as a result. And here's the main shift that I wanted to report. That podcast about testosterone levels increasing massively from cold exposure turned out to be true in my case. I could judge all this based on a few months of letting myself go, so to speak. What my energy was like before this recent season of cold plunges compared to after is simply night and day. I had intended only to incorporate cold plunges and keep all my other energies directed in the direction of creativity, but that's not what has happened. I'm not measuring my testosterone levels by any metric outside of behavior and energy, but the shift is profound enough and in keeping with others who have had those levels tested that I'm sure that's what's happening to me. Meaning testosterone must be being boosted organically. I do a nightly radio show 5 nights a week, tntradio.live, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. my time. Tune in. And without even meaning to, I began running again on a schedule a couple hours before my show, listening to the news or interviews with whoever I may be interviewing that evening. Barefoot runs, grounding in the park 3 or 4 miles a night and increasing. The runs have never felt so good. I don't time them or measure their length, but I run for about an hour. The first 10 minutes are always a challenge, and then something else takes over. The oxygen acts like a fuel, I guess, and I'm a kid again, running in the park, grateful for my ability to do so. Deep waves of oxygen therapy, you could call it, increasing my mental sharpness and mood dramatically. A similar jolt of amazing energy that I get from the morning cold plunge, confidence boosting, and helping with perseverance in the creative realms I'm investing in. I guess what I'm trying to communicate is the cold plunge routine is amping up my physical routine in other areas, and it's happening without effort. It's happening as a matter of course. I think the discipline of doing the cold plunge, of starting every day with the stimulus of an uncomfortable shock that leads to boosted levels of dopamine and testosterone, means that going on the run at night becomes this release I look forward to. I actually look forward to both. Both feel less like a grueling discipline and more like a rewarding act of self-love that is facilitating all other areas of my life into greater levels of realization. And the momentum this is creating is fantastic. I think I made a video about making a goal and how the idea of balance should be sacrificed for singularness of purpose being more important to achieve a new skill set and vision, and how even good habits like working out might need to take a back seat to spend all your time focusing on the vision. And where that might be true if you're working out 6 hours a day, I have to update this perspective, giving myself a couple hours a day directed towards the physical, particularly running and the cold plunge, though I'm also getting in more frequent gym time and lifting a bit as a result, also without much effort, is really important in fighting through some of the tough mental aspects of perseverance and seeing a creative vision through. It is, after all, a long haul, and the battle that takes place in the world is primarily against ourselves. And inspiration flows in during these physical shockwaves. Inspiring books get devoured, or interviews with thought leaders and insights are found. Turns out some balance is required, at least for me, and if you can make it to a cold plunge, I can't recommend it highly enough. Get in that freezing cold water and say your morning prayer and get after it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me if you've done the cold plunge and the result it's been in your life. It's been wonderful. Hope you have a great day.